blend in, and you'll be rewarded for it. It's not all that different from many immigrant stories. The recipe for success was to be guai, obedient, and dutifully play the roles I was given. I am the model minority myth incarnate. Stable two-parent household, straight-A student, incredible friends. I went to the University of California, Berkeley for college because in-state tuition was the practical choice. I studied and have taught at Harvard Law School. I tick all the boxes that are supposed to give you a good life. In some circles, people would say I've made it. So what is there to complain about? If success were only about having a seat at the table, then I would be considered successful. But having a seat at the table doesn't mean that your real voice is actually welcome. I am consistently called upon to validate decisions from the minority perspective, as if I can speak for all women, people of color, and historically oppressed groups. I'm often present so the powers that be can feel good about themselves or change the statistics in the shareholder report, because the room looks a little more diverse, not necessarily because they want to hear what I have to say. I am a token, present but silent. Silence is a survival strategy to avoid getting on their bad side. Silence means not having to engage in so-called healthy debates that leave me raw and reeling. In some instances, it quite literally means not losing the job that pays my bills. Silence is what I've learned, internalized, and at many times in life, been rewarded for. I've been on team calls where George says Chen should run the numbers because Asians are good at math. I mean, really. Those stereotypes are so old and worn, they are like a bad sitcom from the 80s. I let it go because it's not worth incurring George's wrath. It's just a joke. It's just George being George. Plus, is what's going on really any of my business? I'm just trying to get work done here. It's easier to stay under the radar. But if it's not my business, whose business is it? You may be thinking, I'd say something. Someone's got to say something or things will never change. That's just the type of person I am. I do what's right and fight for others. But would you? When you suspect your boss's great idea is going to make your coworker's life horrible, do you say something? When you know the team won't be able to hit the fourth quarter goals because they were unrealistic, do you say something? When your neighbor's actions are just on the edge of what's ethical, do you say something? When the provost makes an insensitive remark demeaning a student, do you say something? When your friend makes a racist joke at happy hour, do you say something? When your spouse shocks you by mocking a disabled neighbor, do you say something? These people control your paycheck and promotion. They influence your comfort. They certainly didn't mean it that way, right? Or did they? When asked, most managers say they want their people to say something if they see something. Employers want employees to report health and safety violations and bad behavior before it becomes an employee relations issue or a liability for the company. When asked, most people say they desire trusting relationships with their friends and loved ones. Being seen, known, and heard in those relationships requires us to use our voices. But how many of us actually do? There is incentive for each of us to stay silent. For people with traditionally marginalized identities, using our voices can be a new, uncomfortable, and risky venture. How are you supposed to speak up when the world has repeatedly told you that you shouldn't? There is safety and self-preservation in silence. The muzzle might be uncomfortable, but it sure feels more bearable than others' react.